Solara, the celebrated captain of the galaxy's most formidable space colony, was a beacon of strength and resilience. For years, she had steered her people through intergalactic challenges, ensuring their survival against all odds. Her focus had always been unwavering, to transform the colony into a self-sustaining utopia. But recently, her perfect vision was marred by troubling news. The alien inhabitants, who formed the backbone of the colony's workforce, were growing weaker. Reports flooded in about widespread fatigue, reduced productivity, and an overall sense of malaise. When Solara investigated further, she discovered the root of the issue: nutrition. Their synthetic food supplies, designed to last decades, were no longer meeting their needs. The alien physiology demanded something richer, more organic, and more energizing. Despite her calm demeanor, Solara felt the pressure mounting. She couldn't let her people down. They depended on her, and the colony's survival depended on them. After countless strategy meetings and brainstorming sessions, the answer became clear: Earth. Earth, a planet teeming with life and resources, had always been an enigma to Solara. It was the cradle of humanity, with its vast oceans, fertile lands, and cultures so diverse they rivaled the stars themselves. Yet, it was also a planet fraught with complexities. Trading with Earth required careful diplomacy, trust, and often, personal connections. Fortunately, Solara knew someone who could help bridge the gap: Captain Zix. Captain Zix was a seasoned leader known for his strategic brilliance and a knack for forging alliances. More importantly, he had established a discreet trade network with Earth, particularly with a farmer named Darcy Coleman. Solara arranged a meeting with Zix to present her plan. "Zix," she began, her voice firm yet respectful, "the colony's survival depends on this. I need to secure natural food supplies from Earth, and I hear you have connections." Zix leaned back in his chair, his sharp eyes narrowing thoughtfully. "You're referring to Darcy Coleman, I assume?" "Yes, you've dealt with him before, haven't you?" Solara pressed. "I need to know if he's trustworthy. This mission is too important to fail." Zix nodded slowly. "Darcy's a good man. Straightforward, resourceful, and, above all, loyal. If you tell him I sent you, he'll help. But Earth isn't like the colony, Solara. Humans can be unpredictable. Be prepared for anything." Solara appreciated the warning, but was undeterred. She took Darcy's contact information from Zix and began preparing for the mission. The journey to Earth was far from simple. Solara's sleek spacecraft cut through the endless expanse of stars, each light a reminder of her colony's reliance on her success. During the voyage, she immersed herself in Earth's history and culture. She studied human behavior, trade practices, and even Earth's peculiar customs around food and hospitality. She needed to blend in as much as possible, at least initially. When her ship finally entered Earth's atmosphere, the transition was seamless. Solara chose a secluded landing site near Darcy's farm to avoid attracting unwanted attention. Before disembarking, she activated her communicator and dialed Darcy's number. "Hello." The voice on the other end was warm and welcoming, with a hint of curiosity. "This is Solara, sent by Captain Zix. He said you might be able to help with a matter of great importance." Darcy's response was immediate. "Ah, Zix's friend, it's good to hear from you. What do you need?" "We're in dire need of fresh produce," Solara explained cautiously. "I'd prefer to discuss the details in person, if possible." "Of course," Darcy replied. "Come to the farm. I'll make sure you're well taken care of." Hours later, Solara arrived at Darcy's farm, her spacecraft carefully cloaked to avoid detection. The sight that greeted her took her breath away. Rows upon rows of lush greenery stretched as far as the eye could see. Fruits of every shape and color hung heavy on their branches, and the air was thick with the intoxicating aroma of ripened produce. Darcy emerged from a nearby barn, his broad frame silhouetted against the setting sun. He approached with a friendly smile and an outstretched hand. "You must be Solara. Zix didn't mention you'd be coming in person, but I'm glad to meet you." "The pleasure is mine," Solara replied, shaking his hand. Darcy wasted no time. leading her on a tour of the farm. As he introduced her to the various fruits and vegetables, he encouraged her to taste them. "You can't make a proper decision without sampling the goods," he said with a wink. Solara hesitated at first, unsure how Earth's food would affect her alien physiology. But the allure of the vibrant produce was too strong. She started with grapes, their sweetness exploding on her tongue. Then came strawberries, melons, and kiwis, each more delicious than the last. The effect was immediate. Each bite sent waves of energy coursing through her body, sharpening her senses and invigorating her mind. By the time she reached a large, ripe watermelon, she felt as if she could take on the universe single-handedly. "That one," she said, pointing to the watermelon. Darcy chuckled. "Excellent choice. Let me cut it for you." He deftly sliced the fruit and handed her a piece. Solara bit into it, savoring the refreshing sweetness as juice dripped down her chin. Darcy quickly retrieved a napkin, but as he moved to wipe her face, their eyes met. A flicker of something passed between them, curiosity, perhaps, or an unspoken connection. "Sorry about that," Darcy said, stepping back and handing her the napkin. "No need to apologize," Solara replied, her voice tinged with amusement. The day wore on, and as Solara continued sampling the fruits, she couldn't ignore the growing camaraderie between her and Darcy. He was genuine, kind, and utterly unpretentious, a rarity in her experience. When it came time to discuss logistics, Darcy assured her he could meet the colony's needs. "I'll have the first shipment ready within the week," he promised. "And if you ever need more, just say the word." That evening, as Darcy loaded crates of produce onto her spacecraft, Solara found herself reluctant to leave. Something about the farm and its owner had captivated her in a way that felt both unexpected and undeniable. The simplicity of the place, the quiet rhythm of life here, and Darcy's natural, effortless kindness stirred something deep within her. She was not one to act on impulse, but as the soft glow of twilight settled over the farm, she found herself doing just that. "Darcy," she called softly, her voice cutting through the hum of the evening. He turned, brushing dirt from his hands. "Yes, would you join me for a moment?" "There's something I'd like to talk about," she said, gesturing toward a small room beside the barn. He hesitated, only briefly, before nodding. "Lead the way." Inside the modest room, the air was filled with the faint scent of hay and the lingering sweetness of freshly harvested fruit. A single lantern illuminated the space, its warm light casting long shadows on the walls. Solara stood in the center, arms crossed loosely, her expression unreadable, but her eyes alive with something Darcy couldn't quite place. "This place feels different," she said, breaking the silence. "It's peaceful, untouched by the chaos I'm so used to." Darcy nodded, leaning casually against the doorframe. "It's home. I imagine your world is a far cry from all this." She laughed softly, the sound light and almost self-deprecating. "That's an understatement. My world is efficient, calculated, and cold. Everything we do is to ensure survival, and yet, here I am, realizing I've never truly lived." Darcy studied her carefully, his expression softening. "You've lived, Solara. You're just seeing a different side of life now." The words, simple as they were, struck her. For a moment, she felt exposed, her carefully constructed walls crumbling under his steady gaze. She stepped closer, her movements deliberate but uncharacteristically uncertain. "Darcy," she began, her voice quieter now, "you've shown me something I didn't know I was missing. And I don't know why, but I feel drawn to you." Darcy's breath hitched, his usually steady composure faltering. "Solara, But before he could finish, she closed the distance between them, her hand resting lightly on his chest. The warmth of his skin beneath her touch sent a spark through her, and without thinking, she leaned in, pressing her lips softly to his. For a moment, neither moved. The kiss was tentative, exploratory, as if both were testing the waters of something uncharted. But as Darcy's hands found her waist, pulling her closer, the tension melted into something deeper, something electric. Solara's alien physiology heightened every sensation. The faint scratch of his stubble against her skin, the taste of the lingering sweetness from the fruit wine they'd shared earlier, the steady thrum of his heartbeat beneath her palm had all combined into a heady cocktail of emotion and desire. Darcy broke the kiss first, his forehead resting against hers as he caught his breath. "I didn't see that coming," he admitted, a small, breathless laugh escaping him. "Neither did I," Solara replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I don't regret it." He pulled back slightly, his hands still resting on her hips. "This whatever this is, it's unexpected. But I'm not going to pretend I don't feel it too." Solara smiled, the rare expression lighting up her face. "Then don't." What began as a tentative kiss soon grew into an all-encompassing fire. Solara's hands traced the lines of Darcy's shoulders, marveling at the strength beneath her fingers, while Darcy responded with a fervor that matched her own. Their differences, alien and human, captain and farmer, only added to the intensity of the moment. As they moved together, the room seemed to shrink, the world beyond its walls fading into insignificance. For Solara, this was a moment of surrender, a rare instance where she allowed herself to let go of control and simply feel. For Darcy, it was an awakening, a realization that the quiet life he'd always known could hold such unexpected passion. Time lost meaning as they explored this newfound connection. The lantern's light flickered, casting shadows that danced across the walls, but neither noticed. Their breaths mingled, their heartbeats sensing as they gave in to the undeniable pull between them. Eventually, as the fire of their passion ebbed into a warm glow, they found themselves tangled together on the old wooden bench, their bodies and souls at ease. Solara rested her head against Darcy's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heart. "Darcy," she murmured, her voice barely audible, "I don't know where this will lead, but I don't want it to end." He pressed a kiss to the top of her head, his hand gently tracing patterns on her back. "Then it doesn't have to. We'll figure it out, Solara, together." For the first time in what felt like forever, Solara allowed herself to believe that was possible.